Hi guys, Dr. Wendy Dearborn here. I am hoping that you can hear me. But guys, we are here today from the Laws of Attraction in Action. And today I just want to talk to you about the Laws of Attraction in Action. And this group that I have started is all about, actually it's a working group. I'm gonna say this to you. It is a working group. It's not I wouldn't say a group that's sort of like filled with all the warm and fuzzies and all that sort of jazz. It is a working group because the laws of attraction are ever working for you, are ever working based on what it is that you are choosing to do. So that being said, one of the things that we do each month, we look at a book or we read a book and then we talk about the book. And usually, or what I am going to do is try to at least pick books that have really good, in my guesstimation, really good exercises that you can do to actually assist and support you in strengthening your laws of attraction in action muscle. So that being said, the book that we chose for this month, excuse me, it sounded like something dropped, is called The Famous Little Red Book That Makes Your Dreams Come True. And this book had been written back in 1926 by R.H. Jarrett. And that's a long time. You know, the law of attraction stuff has been around for eons. It has been around for ages. And I mean, literally ages. And most of the information that is out there, it truly isn't new. Like what I'm going to tell you today, it isn't anything that's new. What I'm going to suggest that you do today, it isn't anything new. What we're going to review today from the book isn't new. Some of this stuff is ancient. When you actually start looking into the various spiritual texts, when you look at scriptures, when you look at all these writings, these historical writings, the information's right there. So what I do, and people like me, what we do is we actually assist and support people with remembering, because I'm a true believer that people do actually remember or do know this information. Sometimes it's just a point of reference of remembering. So that being said, the famous Little Red Book That Makes Your Dreams Come True by R.J. Jarrett, and this was published in 1926. This book actually is available, just let me say this book is available on YouTube. It's free, it's public domain, it's free. You can listen to it, you can download it. It's free and it's for you. And according to the author, in the author's foreword, this is something that the author wanted. He said that he wants this book to be given away, to be shared, so that people have something to work with in order to achieve what it is that they are wanting to achieve, in order to get the law of attraction in action working for them. So it's important to remember, and I'm going to be referring to some notes. It's important to remember that, or it's important to understand that the actual author, Jarrett, the author of the book, he went through his personal trials and tribulations, and he came to the point where you find him now. He came to this point where you find him now. And where you find him now is in 1926, literally creating this book for us so that it could be easy, because for anybody who's been on this pathway, we know it's filled with these ups and downs. Mind you, more ups and downs. When you start looking at the scale, it's more ups and downs. So it's filled with these ups and downs. And what Mr. Jarrett has done, he has taken his experience and condensed it down, truthfully, into literally 3 things that you can do to assist and support yourself in creating what it is that you want, in utilizing the laws. Again, guys, I'm here about the plural, the laws of attraction, so that you can manifest what you want. So Mr. Jarrett starts this book out, as this is a book review. Mr. Jarrett starts his book out. Sorry, guys. Mr. Jarrett starts his book out by saying, if wishes were horses, beggars would ride. And basically what this means, there are 2 kind of loose definitions for this, but it actually implies that if you could achieve your aims simply by wishing them, life would be very easy. And the second one is, it's useless to wish, and it's useless to wish, and that results were better achieved through taking action. So guys, if and I like the one really and truly, if you could achieve your aim simply by wishing, life would be very easy. The name of the game is, it's how you wish. If you understand what a wish can do, the backing behind the wish, that's the ticket, that's the key. But anyway, people are, as I started out, for all of those who have just joined, people are unaware, or perhaps, as I've written in my notes here, people are asleep. And I don't mean this in a derogatory way. People are asleep to how powerful they are. They really are. They speak of things that they are wanting, but it's lip service. It's lip service because they speak of it, and in the next breath, or in the same breath, they're saying sort of like, well, yeah, but that's not for me. Oh, if only I could. I mean, in his book, Mr. Jarrett speaks about a young man by the name of Jimmy wanting this red roadster, a car. He speaks about Florence, I don't know, telephone secretary or whatever, wanting this ring, passing the jewelers. He speaks about Jones, the bookkeeper, whose wife wants this house. And he speaks about, Landham, who is, for all intents and purposes, he's in sales. And he's talking about he never gets, any props. He never gets what he feels is his due. And really and truly, one day he's going to get a new job. He speaks about a president who always has hay fever, and he just knows every summer it comes, he's going to have hay fever. And then you get, as he speaks about what happens in the home as well, you get a father and mother. Father is always looking at the daughter Mabel and thinking, oh my God, this is a disaster waiting to happen. And mum thinking about the son whose actual school has said, you need to come down and talk to us because your kid's kind of failing. And mum's like, can't do it today. I got a bridge afternoon with the ladies. And so you have all these people who do want things, like the parents want things for their children. And, the guy wants a decent wage for his job. The other man would love to buy this woman, his woman, the house. And Florence would love to get the ring, and Jimmy would love to get the car. Yet, in truth and honesty, as Mr. Jarrett has portrayed in the book, while they are filled with these wishes, there are only that, because on top of the wish, or in tandem with the wish, is this thing that says, I really can't afford it. It's not for me, or I'm not worth it. And you see, the thing that you believe the most is the thing that will manifest in your life. So if you are tired of the way in which you are living, if you look at your macrosphere, if you look at what's going on around you in your life, and if you are actually tired of the way that you're living, if you want something different, if you feel that you're doing this 80-20 thing where you're looking over the fence and they look like they have the 80% that you want, if you aren't achieving what it is that you feel that you want to achieve in life because you feel that you can't have it, well, Mr. Jarrett has a process here, which I'm going to add to. I'm going to elaborate on. Mr. Jarrett has it's a 3-ruled process that can actually help you to achieve your goals and actually help take you from that thought process of really and truly, this isn't for me. And it's not for me because, I wasn't born on the right side of the tracks, or that's not what we do as a people, or that's not what we do because of our religious beliefs. That's not what we do. No, life is about living. And on that note, just let me say this for the record. Your life is about expanding and living, growing and living. Your life isn't about you shrinking and not being. Your life is about you living to your fullest potential. In scriptures, they would say it is you magnifying the glory of God. As a metaphysician, this is about you being all that you can be, utilizing the universal laws at hand. Same thing, different vocabulary. So you're not doing yourself any favors by believing that you can't have or shouldn't have. Hey sis, I see you up there, that you can't have or shouldn't have, right? You can't, that's not how it works. So it's vitally important that as you start this process, there are some key things that you put in place. And this is about having a serious adult conversation with self. And I don't mean something that's a knockdown, drag out. I'm talking about a serious adult conversation with self that is literally light-hearted. Having an adult conversation with you doesn't have to be all like, dun, 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 dun. It doesn't have to be like that. But light-hearted. It does have to be authentic. It does have to be honest. It has to be loving. And above all, be non-judgmental. And when I say authentic and honest, what I'm talking about is having a conversation about you, not about what people think you should be doing, not about what you think you should be doing because you're born into a certain race, or you're born into a certain era, or whatever. No, it is what you are wanting to do for self. Yeah, this is what I mean by an authentic conversation and non-judgmental. It's really important to be non-judgmental. Far too often we criticize ourselves, and this critique turns into something. It turns into conflict, which is what our show's going to be on tomorrow, actually on Wednesday. It turns into conflict. And that conflict actually sets up a precedent where it makes it difficult for you to manifest what it is that you want to manifest. So again, in order for you to start this process, according to Mr. Jarrett, the author of the book, and according to yours truly, Dr. Wendy Dearborn, you have to know what it is that you want. Guys, if you don't know what it is that you want, you're going nowhere. And if you're Picassoing out, as I call it, if you're all over the board, if you're totally all over the board and you don't know what you want, where are you going? What are you going to do? You might start here, you might start there. And while some of that can be good, if this is how you are living your life, but yet still there are things that you want, manifestation is going to be that much more difficult, because the universal energy, the source, God, your deity, whatever term you choose to use, is going to be trying to assist and support you in all these areas. So again, it's really vitally important to have a conversation with yourself, an authentic, loving, serious, adult, light-hearted, non-judgmental conversation with self, to find out simply this. And for those of you who know me as an intrinsic life coach, I'm all about the question, and I'm looking at my notes, guys, so just bear with me. So while I'm not in the camera, what are you wanting for you in this moment? What are you wanting for you in this moment? And you know, guys, when you can answer that question, what happens is it supersedes everything else. All the thoughts that you've had, all the things that you think about, you might want, think about, you might have, think about, perhaps not, think about, I should, all that if I woulda, shoulda, coulda, maybe, all that, it negates all of that. It just, it cuts it off. When you are truly honest in your answer to the question, what am I wanting for me in this moment, in this now? When you can answer that, you are on the way. You are 50% on the way to manifesting what it is that you are wanting in life. So once you've decided, you know, what it is that you want, again, for those of you who know me, you know where I'm going. I know my sister knows where I'm going because she's a coach too. And that's Olivia. She's a coach too. She's an expressions coach and artist. So guys, where we go with this is simply this. What does it look like, this thing that I say that I'm wanting? What does it feel like, this thing that I say that I'm wanting? What does it sound like? What does it smell like? What does it taste like? What is my intuition as the sixth sense telling me it is like? You see, it's really important that you just don't give words, just put words out. What makes your words powerful are the feelings, the emotions, the passion, which leads to the belief in them. This is how you manifest. So for decades, the metaphysical community, truthfully, has used, the old-fashioned radio wave or radio tuner, the radio tuner, radio waves as a process to describe, sort of like manifestation. Mr. Jarrett in his book also speaks of radio waves, and he says that they're all around you. And if you tune in correctly to the waves, you will get a perfect signal that you will be able to hear things. You will be able to receive things. You get a perfect signal. And this is what it is all about. So it's understanding for those of you who are my age, which is 15, right? For those of you who, and actually it's 55, for those of you who are my age, you'll know what I'm talking about when I say, on an old black and white TV, you've got the rabbit ears. And, sometimes in order for the signal to be right, somebody has to stand up there while you watch TV and they hold the rabbit ears. They act as part of the circuit. Okay. It's understanding too, like, how your telephone works. And you might need to be in a certain spot to get the signal. You can hear somebody who's on the moon. It's like understanding about a router and how your Wi-Fi works through the router. It's the same sort of principle. So to use the above, he explained that you need to understand a little bit about, and I'm coming up technology now. You need to understand a little bit about the digital equipment and how it works. And you need to understand just a little bit about it. I mean, you don't need to know that they get I want to say it's plutonium or something like that from the Congo. Or some precious metal that they use as chips in all the telephones, and that the chips have gold in them, and all of this stuff. You actually don't need to know that. That's not what you need to know. What you do need to know with your digital devices is how to turn them on so that they actually align themselves with the wave, the energy wave, or the radio wave, or the microwave, or whatever wave, so that they are aligned. You need to understand too the capabilities of your device. If you like my girlfriend Sheila, who has an analog phone and is well proud of it. I mean, she downloads a picture and it's like, is it downloaded yet? You talk to her the next day, did the picture download yet? I mean, it's like that, but she loves her phone. But she knows the capabilities of her telephone. She knows the capabilities of her flip phone that is now in the Smithsonian Museum. She knows the capabilities. She knows what it can do. That's like you know, with your cell phone, for the most part, you know some of the things that it can do. I mean, I look at my phone, and I've got my phone and it can do all this stuff. I mean, the other day I found something out. I was like, oh, I can do that with my phone. I mean, I figured out I can actually utilize my telephone as a remote device to turn my camera on and off, to turn my digital camera. I was like, how sweet is that? So it's knowing the capabilities and how it will work, and of course, how you choose to use it. So Mr. Jarrett, of course, the famous little red book that makes your dreams come true, suggests that once you know that what you want and what you really want, and you're not just giving lip service, you know, like the characters that I have spoken about. Once you know what you want and you can express this to whomever your deity is, whether it be the Christ consciousness, whether it be spirit, Father Sky, Mother Earth, whether it be God, whomever you choose to call your deity, whomever, the God that resides in you, as I call it, the God, the spirit, the universal consciousness, the Christ consciousness that resides in you, can go forward on your behalf and do what it is that you are wanting to do. See, guys, another thing, let me just segue here. Doing what you want to do is important. In the scriptures, it says, and clearly it says, that you have to take that step. Taking that step is knowing what you want, and knowing without a shadow of a doubt, taking that step. The universal laws are in the metaphysical world. It means you need to take some action. Step and action, it's the same thing. Different vocabulary, but the meaning, the end meaning is the same thing. So know what you can have. Know what it is that you want. So the Christ consciousness within, or God, or whomever your deity is, can begin working on your behalf. Now, hopefully you've read the book. If not, you will read the book. Jimmy didn't really want the Roadster, the red Roadster. While he looked at the car, he was like, oh, yeah, that's really nice, but that I'll never be able to get that. It's not for me. Florence really wanted the ring, but as she put it out there, she also put on the back of it, on the tail end of it, no, I could never really afford this. And that because she believed that in her heart, because that was where she was coming from. That was the wolf that she was feeding. That was the thing that manifested. Mr. Jones, even being a bookkeeper, his wife wanted the house, and who knows if he allowed his wife to continue her dream in her way, they might have got it, but he just ixnayed that out. That's a lovely house, darling, but we could never afford it. The guy, as I mentioned earlier, Landon, he was a sales exec. He felt that he was underappreciated, and was always talking about he's going to find a new job, but really wasn't really going to find a new job, and just stayed in his old job because he didn't really think that he could find another job, because he didn't think that he was worthy. And the president with hay fever, he always expected to have it. So boof bang, guess what happens? The universe complies. The universe complied with him. You will have hay fever. So manifesting on a conscious and continuous level takes work. Now, that's one of the biggest things that happens, is that people don't do the work. That's one of the biggest things. People don't do the work. Okay. So it takes work. Now, what Mr. Jarrett says, and I'm really hoping, guys, that you will actually do this. He suggests that you get a pen and paper and you write down in order of importance, in order of preference, the things and conditions that you are really wanting for your life. And again, this is why I said earlier, guys, it's really important to have this adult conversation with self about what it is that I am wanting for me in this moment. And then what does it look like? You need the feeling behind, you need the five senses all up in there so that you can you can taste it, you can feel it, you can know it. So he suggests that you write down what it is, and don't be afraid. Do not be afraid of asking for what you may perceive to be too much. Although I'm gonna come back, and it might sound counterintuitive, but don't be afraid. If you're asking for a house, don't be afraid to ask for too much. You can never ask for too much, because there is an abundance out there with your name on it. That's a universal promise. That's a creator's promise. That's a God's promise. It's out there. All the scriptures, all the all the spiritual text, anything you read, north, south, east, west, they all say the same thing. There's stuff out there with your name on it. What you need to do is get into the stream so you can get it. So you can get it. It's yours. Okay. So one of the things that he says also is to make sure when you write down what you want, to review it, and to review it daily. And you're going to need to review it daily because you're going to be talking about it daily, or at least reading it daily. So he suggests that you review it daily and you change it, and do this for a while, maybe for a couple of weeks. Okay. Look at it, review it, change it, review it, change it until it is exactly what you are feeling that you want. Okay. So you might start out by saying, okay, I want a 2-bedroom house. And then, you look at it and you're like, well, really and truly, a 2-bedroom house isn't going to serve me. I've got family, we're planning on having kids, yada, 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 or whatever the scenario is. And you realize, something, I actually really need a 5-bedroom house. And that feels really nice. That feels right for my circumstance. So what you do off the list, you take that off the list and you put the 5-bedroom house, moving right along. So review it. Do this for a couple of weeks. I would suggest do this for a couple of weeks, or at least 7 days. Okay, at least 7 days. So when you do this for 7 days, and or when you are comfortable, okay, with it, make sure to have a continuous conversation with yourself as you change it about what am I wanting in this moment, or what am I wanting regarding the 5-bedroom house. This is really, really important. And of course, then you need to follow in. What does it look like? What does it feel like? So just so that we're all on the same page here, change it every day. Look, change. When you make a change, make sure you go through the adult conversation. Have the adult, lighthearted, loving, non-judgmental, authentic and honest conversation about what it is that you are wanting in regard to what's on your list. Okay. Jarrett states that don't be worried, because some people, and this is true, and I know that I've been through this myself. Sometimes I get a little frenetic about, oh my God, I've put this down and now I'm taking it off my vision board, or now this is oh no, Wens, you can't keep doing this. Just stay focused. No, don't get all worried and frenetic and all this stuff about changes that come up. This is, and it's true, it's a natural process, and it's an evolutionary process, because it's telling you where you're going and how you're growing, and that the things that you have thought that you wanted will no longer serve you. They won't actually serve you. And this is something that you need, the thing that has come up, and this compelling thing that has come up. So don't worry about that. Okay. Now, Mr. Jarrett's 3 rules, and these are really simple, guys. Mr. Jarrett's 3 rules, or I take that back. They're simply complex. They appear simple, but in truth and honesty, they take work. You have to do the work. Okay. So 3 positive rules of accomplishment. And these are the 3 rules that he has suggested in his book. Once you've written down your list, once you know what you're wanting and you have the emotion behind it, you read your list 3 times a day. Upon rising, before eating your noon meal or midday or lunch meal, and if you don't eat at lunch, then you read it anyway. And then before you go to bed. Now, however your world flows, because not everybody works on the 9 to 5 clock or the 8 to 5 clock, going to bed at maybe 10:30, 11. Some people, they start work at 11 p.m. So however this unfolds in your world, in regard to your life, 3 times a day, morning, noon, and night, upon awakening, sometime during the middle of the day, and before you go to bed. The other thing is that he suggests, number 2, think about what you want as often as possible. What this means is it needs to be in the forefront of your mind. It needs to be in the back of your mind. It needs to be on the side of your mind. It needs to be at the top of your mind. It needs to be at the bottom of your mind. You know what this actually means is, this is what is called, or truly meant, when you pray without ceasing. It's always there. The words are always there. The vision is always there. So it needs to be in the forefront of your mind. So you think about it as often as possible, in a loving way. It's got to be in a loving way, in a way that feels good. Not all fretting like, oh my God, I wonder if this is going to happen. I wonder if this is going to, oh God, is this really going to happen? Is this really going to happen? That's not what you do. You see your picture, you feel it. Feel how good it's going to be in that 5-bedroom house. And this one for me is absolutely huge. Number 3, okay, is huge. Keep your mouth shut. Don't talk about it to anybody, with the exception of you and God, you and your deity, you and the Christ consciousness. Don't talk about it until it has taken root and has started. You can see the manifestation. It's here. It's tangible. You can touch it. You can feel it. Don't talk about it. Don't talk about it. People have all the good intentions. They really do. Their intentions are wonderful. Good intentions. But you see, what you don't want to do is have to wade through another stream of energy based on people thinking that you cannot achieve what it is that you say that you are going to achieve. So don't talk to your plan about anybody. Excuse me, don't talk to your plan with anybody, with the exception of God, the Christ consciousness, the deity, or whomever your deity is. By adhering to this, by adhering to not talking, what this does is it impresses upon your subconscious mind, the belief and the faith that what you are wanting can be manifested. You don't need to talk to anybody about it. You really don't. And if there are things that you need to actually put in place, they don't need to know what you're doing. As I said, you know, I'm an intrinsic coach. My sister, who's on here too, Olivia, she's an intrinsic coach. And believe me when I say I can coach you to a successful conclusion without you ever telling me what it is that you are wanting. You never have to utter and say, I want a 5-bedroom house, for me to be able to coach you. Because I don't need to know what you want. You need to know what you want. And that conversation is a conversation that you have with your God. It's a powerful thing. So guys, I'm serious. When I say don't talk to anybody, I really mean that. Keep your mouth shut. Keep your mouth shut until it's manifested. Okay? And Another thing is, don't waste your time trying to figure out or trying to micromanage the universe. Don't do it. Don't waste your time trying to figure it out. Don't waste your time trying to micromanage, because there are things that you will never, there are things that you will never be able to understand, because it's not for you to understand. You know, like, really, how does a radio wave really work? Well, yes, physicists might tell you it's this and that, but do they really know? At the end of the day, anyone worth their salt will say they're not 100%, but so far we know this, it does this and this. So guys, don't spend your time spinning your wheels trying to figure out how the universal side, or the God side, or whatever, the energetic side, or whatever, you know, the manifesting side. Don't spend your time, you know, thinking about how that's going to work. Use that time to do the second rule, and that's to think about what it is that you are, what it is that you have manifested. Think about it that way. Don't spend your time doing that. Okay, so moving right along from there. Again, just to recap, I'm going to recap. First, figure out what you really want. Okay, first figure out what you really want, and then you implement the 3 rules that I've just spoken about. Rule number 1, read. You need to write the list down. Don't do this from memory. You know, if you're okay using your smartphone for this, put it on your smartphone. But you need to read it 3 times a day. You need to write out a list. You need to read it 3 times a day. Number 2, you need to think about it as often as possible. So, you know, all this stuff that, you know, fills up our head about this should have happened, that should have happened, blah, 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 all of this jazz, you can utilize that energy. Let that stuff go so you can bring this in. So you can use that space that will be freed up to think about what you want. And again, guys, don't talk about it to anybody. Don't do that. Don't do that. And I'm a huge believer in that. You see, what happens is, in the regards to not talking to anybody, we are naturally skeptical, which is okay. That truly has its purpose in our lives. So we are naturally skeptical. And so therefore, when you actually bring your dream to somebody, they are naturally skeptical too. And in their skepticism and their doubt, and sometimes, you know, they really are caring about what's happening to you. They are living in fear on your behalf, which you really don't need. But they're like, well, how are you going to do this? Don't you think that you actually need to have, you know, a little nest egg or a blanket or something? And then your mind says, you know, that crossed my mind, but I had pushed that away because I really want to do this. But because, you know, my friend, or, you know, my whoever is saying this to me, maybe this is the universe talking to me, and maybe this is something I need to look at. And yeah, perhaps I need to save up before I decide to launch out and, you know, venture out into my own business. And no, I was right. When I heard that voice say, you really can't do this, Wendy, you'll never do this. Not now, not now. Maybe that was right. Well, in reality, you don't need to hear that. What you truly need to hear is, Wendy, go for it, and go for it knowing that you have it. If you go for it with the belief, if you half step, you're going to get a half step back. If you go for it with belief, you're going to have it. So people's skepticism and their doubt, sometimes lovingly, they're not all sort of like trying to tear you down. It can have an impact on how you utilize your energetic stream of universal laws to manifest what you want. The universe is just waiting for you to speak your truth. The universe is waiting for you to do that. The universe is waiting for you to speak your truth and your belief. The universe is waiting for you to speak your truth, your belief, and your authentic desire, so it can support you in what it is that you are wanting for you. This is what the universe does. So you see, we have work to do, but we don't do the work. That's one of the biggest things. That's one of the things with my clients. You have to do the work. This isn't a free ride. Somewhere along the line, you know, it's like, oh, you know, if I just what you call it, affirm all the time, if I just affirm, I'll get it. If that was true, everything that came out of your mouth is an affirmation. Everything that you think is an affirmation. You'd have everything that you wanted and stuff that you don't. Another thing that Jarrett points out in his book is, again, because we are susceptible to influences by people, Mr. Jarrett actually says, know who you're associating with. Or he says, basically, you need to choose the people that you hang out with. I'm like, know who you associate with, because they too can have a profound effect on how things manifest in your life. You know, if your friends, or even if your spouse or whoever is ever the pessimist, you know, it's never going to be right. They are truly the negative Nelly. Perhaps you need to, that looked like a karate move, didn't it? Perhaps you need to, I was going to use a West Indian phrase and I'm going to use it. Perhaps you need to jest back from them, and that's move back from them a little bit. Now, if it's your spouse, literally, for everybody who's been married, I've been married 30 years. Believe me, we all know how to switch off and we stop listening. Switch off and stop listening. I mean, do what you need to do. And this is for my husband, baby, I don't switch off. I listen to you all the time. We all know what we can do to actually create, I would say, a boundary or an insulation around us. So again, we are not susceptible. And there are people, at the end of the day, I'm always saying this, myself and my co-host, my sister Olivia, she's up there. We're always saying this. Love people from a distance. Know who it is who's in your life. You are in control. Your life is all about choices. The first universal law of attraction is choice. You have choice. It's your free will. Know who's in your life. Know who's in your life. And of course, number 3 applies with everybody. It applies with everybody. Keep your mouth shut, i.e., don't talk about what you're doing until you have a firm grasp on it. And so should you talk about it, somebody with their skepticism comes along and it's like, hey, that's your thought process. That's not mine. That's not going to happen for me. And you keep moving right along. Very important. Many people's dreams have been killed. They've been blown out of the water because of this. Now, in regard to what you are wanting, generalizations don't do you any favor. Do you any favors? And I mean, being general, it doesn't. I want a house. I want a big house. Okay. Well, how big is big? You know, and then that becomes relative. So generalizations don't help you. What are you wanting from the house? What does it look like? What does it feel like? You know, does the house have a lot of windows? How many bedrooms? Do you have French doors inside, outside? Does it have a huge patio? Does it have a garden? Can you walk in the garden? Does the garden have grass? Do you have granite or formica kitchen tops? Are your not your utilities, your appliances top of the line? Do you have a Sub-Zero refrigerator? You know what? Do you have a Wolf? Baby, that's what I'm after. A Wolf stove or range or whatever you want to call it. You know, what is it that you want? Generalizations, just what I want a nice kitchen. Well, the universal nice and your nice might be two totally different things. So the universe waits for you to say what it is that you want. It's like you go to place an order. You don't just sort of stand in the restaurant and and you might say sometimes, okay, you can give me what you want, what you think is best. I think that's wonderful. If this is where you roll, if this is who you are. But by and large, most people want a little bit more control. So generalizations will not help you. You have to be more specific. Another thing that he spoke about, which is true, I mean, you need to say thank you. Gratitude is huge. Gratitude is huge. And that's my sister and myself, will be doing some work on the individual laws of attraction, because people are stuck on visualization and gratitude. That seems to be the thing, visualization and gratitude. And gratitude, let me just back off of that. Gratitude is huge. When your manifestation seems to come to you out of the blue, and this is what happens, you'll put something out there that you want, and when you get it, I don't know what it is, but it's like, oh my God, wow, it happened. And people have this way, they say, I don't believe that actually happened. Why would you do this? Just say thank you. And I know it's the reaction of, oh my God, it actually happened. Oh my God, wow, I didn't think it was going to happen, but it actually happened. Yes, I get that. Just say thank you. Gratitude is a powerful universal law. For me, as I call it, and I say this all the time, it seals the deal. It actually establishes an unbreakable trust between you and your deity, and between your deity and you. It sends out there, it allows you to surrender to the process. And that's the universal process. And it stops you from micromanaging or trying to figure out every detail. It also says that I believe that it is mine, even though it is not in tangible form. I believe that it is mine. I believe without a doubt. This is what gratitude and thank you, amongst other things, can do. So say thank you. Now, I feel it prudent to just throw in here real quick as we come to wrapping up. You've all heard the phrase, be careful what you wish for, or be careful what you ask for, because you might get it. What this basically means, or what this means, is that for everything that you ask for, whether you do this subconsciously or whether you do this consciously, everything that you ask for has a consequence. Okay? Everything. So when you ask for something, it actually invokes the universal law of reaction. Okay? And I'm not talking about cause and effect here, or cause for effect. I'm talking about the universal law of reaction. All manifestations have the universal law of reaction attached to it. So Jarrett suggests in his book, when you plan, be sure that when you send your affirmation out there, or your request out there to the universe for what it is you want to manifest, make sure it is for the highest good for self. And that in it being the highest good for self, it will be for the highest good of all others, and the universe, or the world, the universe as we know it to be and don't know it to be. So again, it's really important. Be careful what you ask for, because the universe is listening. Let me just throw this in here and then I'll just wrap it up. In regard to what I was saying, be careful what you ask for. Jarrett also suggests that your actual request needs to be realistic. He goes on to say, and this is where I was saying earlier, it might be a little counterintuitive what I said before. He goes on to say, when you ask for something, start out with something that's believable for you. Start out with something that's realistic. Now, if you're already a multimillionaire or you've had that experience, it may be very easy for you to move into that zone and say, I want to have, I don't know, several hundreds of millions of dollars. If you can't even comprehend what $1 million looks like, perhaps you need to start out with a large sum of something that you have, you can get your hands around, you can get your head around. It needs to be realistic. If it's not realistic, you won't believe it. If you don't believe it, you won't receive it, because your belief is it's like rocket fuel for the laws of attraction. So it needs to be realistic. And being a coach, I can't but help say that you need to have SMART goals, which are specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and, as Mr. Jarrett says in his book, they need to be time sensitive. You know, far too often in working with clients, you know, even recently, last week, with a client, and they actually need an infusion of cash now. However, based on their thought process, they were like, you know, well, maybe I'll, you know, Christmas will be fine for me to get that. But you need the money now so you can do what it is that you need to do. It needs to be in a timely fashion. And I'm saying that, and then I'm going to back up off of that and say, you have to do what's comfortable for you. And then in coaching and talking with my client, I realized that for her, and she realized that her comfort level is Christmas. So then my thing was, what does it look like then to do things in between now and then that will firm up your foundation even more? So when your money actually manifests in the tangible, when your money manifests in the tangible, you'll be able to, you know, full steam ahead. Okay, guys? So that is the little red book that makes your dreams come true. Be ironclad in what you want. Read it 3 times a day. Make changes where is necessary, because you're going to evolve. And as the process evolves, you will evolve. So make your changes when your intuition talks to you. Do not talk to anybody about this with the exception of your deity within you. Have that conversation within you. I suggest that you write everything down, and I really do. Handwrite it, read it. 3 times a day you read it. Throughout the day you think about it. Don't talk about it. Know what you're wanting. Have your emotions up behind it. So I'm going to unlock this seat. And if there's anybody who does want to jump in, please feel free. If you've read the book, I'd be curious, as we have a few minutes left here, I'd be curious to see what your thoughts are, if you've had any experiences with them, etc. The book for me, it's easy to read. As I said, for everybody who joined a little later, the book is online. It's public domain, so you can get it on YouTube. You have some of the books that are, I think they're automatically read. It's read by a cyber voice, as I call it, and then of course you have the human narration. So go and see which one you like. Some people have given their own twist, yada yada yada. The book actually is 13 minutes and some 13 minutes and some seconds long. 15 minutes is a long time, because that means they're doing, sort of like the intro. So outside of that, guys, this has been a talk on the famous Little Red Book that makes your dreams come true by R.H. Jarrett. And again, this was published in 1926. This stuff isn't new. It really isn't new. It's just us bringing it to the forefront so that you do and will remember. So guys, join me on the Laws of Attraction in Action. That's the Facebook group. And as I said, for those of you who are just joining, it's not one of these warm and fuzzy groups where, all these nice little posts about this and that. This is about doing the work. Utilizing the laws of attraction is about you doing the work so the universe can work on your behalf. So join me, Facebook, Laws of Attraction, the website, Laws of Attraction in Action. The Laws of Attraction in Action. And until next time, Look out for the next book that we're going to be reviewing, the next movie. I'm Dr. Wendy Dearborn. I thank you so, so much for joining me. This was my first serious blab, and I think it was off the chain. Woohoo! It's amazing what you can do, or it's amazing what happens for you when you align yourself correctly with the things that you are wanting. The universe just pulls it out the bag for you. So on that note, guys, again, thanks for listening. I'm Dr. Wendy Dearborn. Peace.